So I figured with about 482 hours of AI game development, I'd share a bit more about my process in terms of what I'm doing, how I look to plan things out, and generally how I'm actually making a game at the moment. So I'll pretty much start off in whatever order, and that'll be that. So the first thing is that I use Trello. Now, Trello is something where I use to jot down ideas for the game and generally organize my thoughts into different categories. So, what I'll do is I'll have effectively things that I'll do each month, where every single month I will drag and drop in the tasks I want to do, the functions I want to make, the edits I need to do, or refinements or whatever, and I put that in order from top to bottom in terms of, effectively the order I want to go and do them in. And from there, when I do them, I check them off and I put them at the bottom. And the idea is that every month as I move across, I'll be able to see all the things that I did every single month, which is the nice thing to look at visually because it at least means for me, I can see the work that I did and the things I actually achieved every single month. What I also like to do is I like to have little lists in terms of ideas and things which I'm not quite sure I'm going to do, but I can just put it in a box. And I've also got a section for just other bits of, sort of like files or resources which I might want to access from there as well. But generally speaking, it's been a really useful tool at the moment for my game development journey. Because one of the things which I aim to do, or at least one thing that I've been doing a bit more, is basically, trying to fit in some sort of lighter work session in the day where I can just open up my phone, open Trello, and at least spend 30 minutes, maybe up to an hour, to just make more specific notes on what I should do for the next day, right? If I can make ideally more specific and actionable thing that I can do, then when it comes to the next day where I'm doing, game development for two deep work sessions, then if my execution is a lot easier, a lot more streamlined, then I'm going to be able to get a lot more done. So that's been a really useful system. If you haven't been using Trello for things like projects, I'd really recommend it. The second thing then is using ChatGPT. So I've been using ChatGPT, or at least was using it for everything. I was using ChatGPT to make all the code for my game, as in, I would describe the sort of thing that I'm looking to make in my game, and I'd get it to make me scripts for things. If I already had certain functions in my script, but wanted to make changes to things and like edits, then what I'd do is I'd then effectively copy and paste certain bits of code and script that I already had into the GPT and basically say, for example, for it to update certain scripts. Now, that was a lot of back and forth, and I did that for effectively from the very beginning of June all the way up until I think like early December. So effectively for most of my journey, and I was able to make a demo with that. So I know that that works. So that was one of the things. I also use ChatGPT for, and still use ChatGPT for all the images for my game. This being cutscenes, this being character portraits, combat backgrounds, you name it. Icon images, everything. And again, I think ChatGPT does a very good job. Sure, it still makes errors. It still does it now, no matter how hard I try. But giving it enough context and most importantly, being patient with it is really, really key. And the stuff it can make is genuinely phenomenal. It's genuinely phenomenal. Whatever your thoughts are on AI making images, for me at least, it's just been really, really quite good. So that's that. And I'm going to continue to do that. The next thing is Runway. So I've been using what's called Runway to turn the images I make from ChatGPT into videos. Now, I've been using videos in a few of my cutscenes for my game, but I also use videos for the game trailer. I know for the demo game trailer, I used quite a few of those videos that were made by Runway, and I thought they turned out pretty well. There are a few videos in there which I now realize look a bit off, but for the most part, I think AI has done a pretty good job there. So Runway is definitely something I'd recommend. I know there's a few other video making stuff, but that one's been pretty useful. So I continue to use that as well. Now, one of the last things which I've only been recently using, if you haven't already been aware, is using Cursor. So Cursor is effectively what I can describe as done for you coding, where pretty much you link up your effectively your scripts from your game, and Cursor will go away and it will make scripts, edit scripts, and effectively, yeah, pretty much make and edit scripts, as you give it prompts. So think of it as ChatGPT, but it's connected to your scripts. Now, what's quite cool with this is that at the end of the edits and the scripts that it makes, it gives you the option to effectively approve or deny. So it doesn't go and, blow up your entire game and, it's completely unrecoverable, because you can go and select, to approve or not. But it's been really incredible, right? Like I've had it make like 7 or 8 scripts in one sitting. I've had it edit multiple scripts in one go, when I wanted to change something. Like I know for one instance, when I wanted to remove the zoom function from my kingdom map because it was a bit wonky, I basically searched up the zoom function in my scripts. I found about 5 or 6 scripts that had the word zoom in it. I basically said, look, I've got this, this, and this script, all those scripts that reference the word zoom and the zoom function. Can you get rid of that zoom function and clean it up? It went and did that pretty much within about 2 or 3 minutes. I then clicked approve, went to my kingdom map, and the zoom function was gone, so it was all working. So yeah, effectively, this is new stuff to me, but it's far more efficient than the coding I was doing with ChatGPT. So that is generally the process that I'm sort of working at. And in terms of a general day-to-day workflow, it pretty much looks like this. I start the day off looking at my Trello board. I figure out what's at the top of my list, and if I've got any more information on it, that's ideal. And really, from there, it's working through it. If it requires code or editing code or making new functions, I'll then I'll then have Cursor up, and I'll then be brainstorming with ChatGPT first, unless I already know what I'm doing. And then I'll give that information to Cursor and let that go through what it needs to do. Then from there, if I need to make images, I'm going to use ChatGPT. And again, if I need to make videos, I'm going to use Runway as well. And there's even a few other things which I also use, which are really quite good as well. I use Suno for my game music, or at least I will be doing that. Suno is absolutely incredible. If you haven't seen it already, effectively, yeah, the music it can make is really good. I plan to use the music for my video game at the moment, and it's already made some really good pieces, so I'm looking forward to putting those in the game. So I'd definitely check that out if I were you, if you're interested. Another thing as well is 11 Labs for things like voiceovers. I might be looking at a few other bits or a few other things that do AI voiceovers, but I've already I used AI voiceovers for my game trailer. I thought it was pretty good, but again, it's stuff like that. So one of the things I will say is, look, is this the right way to go about doing game development? No. Should I be doing this? Are people going to like it? I'd like, what matters most to me is if the player likes the game, right? The way I go about doing things and achieving results, people won't like. I understand that. I've seen that. I've seen plenty of comments for that. I get that. What matters to me is the game. If people enjoy the game, that's what matters to me. And again, right, sure, this is, I believe, a quicker approach to making a game. People could also call it cheating, which is a fair argument. But again, if the game doesn't do well, it doesn't do well, and it won't get pushed out to more people, and people won't want to play it. So again, it's like, no matter what the approach it is to get to the game or to make the end product, if people don't like it, people don't like it. So this is why I'm effectively trying to focus on making games people would enjoy and the games that people would play. So that's really what matters most for me. Now, the last thing I will say is that if you're someone which isn't a game developer, or perhaps you are and you're just a bit, I don't know, fascinated or weirded out by what I'm doing, then I would at least maybe consider looking into it. Whether whether it's using ChatGPT to make you images, whether it's using Runway to turning images into videos, perhaps it's Suno to make you some game music or such. Whether you're making AI voiceovers, or even using Cursor to effectively do done for you coding. All of that I think is very viable. I think a lot of it, or at least stuff that I'm getting, is there is a lot of skepticism about it, right? There is a lot of uncertainty about, well, is it the right thing to do or whatever? And again, all I'm always going to keep coming back to is, look, What matters the most to me is if the players enjoy the game. If I've made a game using AI, a lot of AI, and people really enjoy the game, I'm happy with that, right? I can get all the controversy in the world, and I still will. But again, that's what matters most to me. So let me know your thoughts on this video. Again, I'm always open to criticism about my approach. And with that said, take care.